All right, welcome everyone to the third session of ABICO Economic Forum, a student panel discussion. We have the discussion between the co-founders of ABICO, which is Bharat Kulkarni here, who is pursuing his chartered accountancy and is also an avid economic and finance reader. And also with me, Akash Subramanian, the founder and a student of St. Xavier's College, pursuing management studies. The topic for today is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, which is a 15 country economic trade agreement, and India is not a part of this deal. But was this supposed to be this way? Let's dig deep into it and find out what was the reason behind India not being a part of RCEP. So basically, RCEP is a proposed free trade agreement between 10 member states of ASEAN and the five Asia Pacific states, which include Australia, China, Japan, South Korea, and New Zealand. Now, ASEAN is viewed as an alternative to the Trans Pacific Partnership, which does not include China or India. Now, why India was looking to be a part of this from beginning was because if RCEP included India, and even without India, it is still the world's largest economic bloc, which includes 25% of GDP of the world, 30% of global trade, and 26% FDI flows if it had included India. So it aims at a stronger economic linkage between member countries and to reduce the development gap between them. So, Varad, this RCEP deal has been established since 2012 between the countries, and India, however, has been one of the main reasons because the delay and the agreement being signed only last month. Right. So, what do you think? Why was India taking so much of time to finally back out of it? The back out happened last year, but the agreement was signed last month. So, what was the reason behind this?
Okay, so the question you're asking, Akash, is very interesting. As such, the India has been one of the signing partners in the RCEP.
Right.
However, there were some concerns which India was facing. So the concerns which were India was facing, I will briefly discuss on that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first and foremost concern of India was the presence of China.
Right.
If you see, before the year 2019, the India was in the agreement. India was participating in the international discussions. However, India did not ever back out of such discussions
Right.
due to the rising tensions between India and China, which further escalated after the Galwan Valley clash in June.
Mm-hmm.
The India's relations with China became worse. So China is one factor. Second reason is being historically it's been seen that whenever India does trade with either ASEAN countries or China or you know or Japan or South Korea, India has been facing a huge trade deficit,
Mm-hmm.
which is a total negative sign for the Indian economy. And the RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, would make it worse for India. We will discuss further about it in our today's session,
Absolutely.
but that has been one of the reasons. One more reason is that the negative impact on India's domestic economy. In
Mm-hmm.
RCEP, the China, Australia, and New Zealand, we are taking just these three as examples, are one of the strong exporters of uh, of this steel.
Mm-hmm.
China's uh, tire manufacturing industry, Australia and New Zealand's agro products. So if RCEP happens, the tariffs will be reduced by whopping 90% over next 20 years. Foreseeing India's current economic growth, it is very unlikely that we will be able to achieve that kind of success as China, Australia, and New Zealand have achieved in their economic uh, perspective. However, it would cost a huge sums of money to India as these imports would flush out Indian markets. So these are some reasons which I think India might have considered
Mm-hmm.
while backing out from RCEP last month.
All right. Perfect, Bharat. Let me just delve a little bit more deeper into how Chinese influence in RCEP might affect India, if at all India would have agreed to the deal. So, as you had mentioned, India has held a trade deficit with 10 of the 15 countries of RCEP, China
Yeah,
being the largest. They have a negative 53 billion, which is 53 billion of trade deficit.
53 billion, and it is very appreciable effort by Indian government. Thanks to the pandemic, also the
Yes,
trade deficit of 53 billion dollars in year 18-19 has been brought down to 48 billion
that is
dollars
right.
this year. So that's a fantastic achievement by Indian government. So
Absolutely.
we must appreciate them for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, but just looking at the opportunity, now there was a good opportunity for Indian commerce to become stronger in the ASEAN nations, which would have helped reduce the deficit also in case they had signed the deal. Talking not about the Chinese influence. Like earlier, India used to import $35 billion worth goods from ASEAN nations, whereas India just had an export of $15 billion. Right. Now, probably the major and the only concern here was China abducting Indian markets in the due process with cheaper goods and reduced tariffs. So this could really be dangerous for India as, first of all, Chinese is a manufacturing hub. So
Yeah.
many of the companies in India, though have a very strong reputation in the world, are still not ready to capture countries who are already having a free trade agreement. Whereas that is not the case with China. China already for even for the steel sector, even for textile sector, and for fast-moving consumer goods, China has the huge advantage of cheaper goods being sold in the local countries. And second, due to the prices, many countries have reduced tariffs on them and have dependent on bulk load. So if India had signed the RCEP deal, getting into diversification of the ASEAN nations would have been really difficult because they had to equally focus on the Chinese influence on the Indian market. Now, one of the deals which RCEP proposed was a 92% free tariff deal.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
right. Some by points had allowed India to keep a little more tariffs for the Chinese goods, but still this would have not have been very much advantageous. Right. There was something called the investor mechanism where any country wanting to increase the tariff on other countries without the consent of RCEP would face negative remarks or would have faced some backlash in the trade. That was one thing. Second, India being a part of RCEP would not have worked even in the starting because considering China has already posted many non-tariff um,
Non-tariff
obstacles.
barriers. Yes.
Exactly, they have been posing quotas. Only limited amount can be exported from India, right? So this is really very disadvantages for India because if India is looking to expand, they have
Yeah.
to also compete equally with all these nations. We are looking for economic and technological equality in this trade. And with China being here, they're taking the entire power in their hands here. And India cannot subdue. India is like one of the largest economy in the world. I believe it is one of the top six economies in the world today,
Yeah.
right? So with this influence, China is already among the top two. They're the second most consuming nation in the world. So this would have been really very much dangerous. And lastly, even if India had, I mean, this is what India was backing during the agreement that the country of origin deal to be taken place. Varad, you had given a name for it earlier. What was it?
It's actually called as rules of unified rules of origin.
Right. The unified rules of origin suggests that India wanted all the goods or services being imported or exported to have the country of origin from where it is coming in from, because China already has the habit of making in with the trade deals by exporting to some other country and re-exporting them to the trade nation. So if India had to deal with this in China, which was not accepted in the RCEP agreement, if India had imposed tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers, China would have wanted to first export them to ASEAN nations and through there get it into
Exactly.
India. Right. So eventually, India still would have had a lot of trade deficits, and plus, it would not have led to transparency, which is one of the biggest threat in such a huge economic alliance, right? So, Varad, if you could take up this point in the discussion, the could you elaborate on the requirement of India needing the country of origin of trade on every goods and service, right? And not only the goods, India also had brought forward the point of skilled laborers, employment generation, right? Because though the RCEP deal agreed to smooth bilateral trade of goods and services with economical and technological cooperation, there was no agreement with employment in local countries for Indian skilled laborers. So, could you just open up on the country of origin as well as the skilled laborers assignment?
So basically, as you said, Akash, China has historically been able to route the goods through ASEAN countries to India.
Mhm.
As you know, China and India as such have no free trade agreement. However, the ASEAN and India have previously signed the free trade agreement through which the China can route the goods to ASEAN. That is historically been only one place, that is Thailand,
Right,
through India. So they export goods to Thailand, manufacture a part of process, that is a they perform a part of process on the goods, that may be packing, or that may be some minor processes in Thailand, and these goods are exported to India, which are finally labeled as made in Thailand or Malaysia, whatever.
right,
As you see, the RCEP has a rule of uh, unified rules of origin. That is, wherever the goods are manufactured within this RCEP group,
hmm,
the goods or uh, for that matter, I will tell you, they have not covered services here. So
right,
only goods which are manufactured within RCEP region will be labeled as made by RC partners,
hmm,
or as they have free trade agreement with all the countries in RCEP, the goods can be labeled as anything, which is a threat for India,
right,
right? Because the trade deficit is going to be rise to new heights, and all the efforts which our government has been taking
hmm,
through all the years might have gone to vain.
right,
So that is the point here. That's why India must have this policy of continuing the labeling of goods of country of origin.
hmm,
So this rule must continue. Even if you have seen in past few days, the India has mandated European Union nations to follow the same. Now that's a big thing. India is mandating few things to European Union, is it's in itself a very big thing.
hmm,
But meanwhile, if you have seen, the goods which were imported from Germany were handled by the customs at Mumbai port, and they were told to label them properly.
right, right,
Right. So this is the thing. This strict we are being nowadays to tackle the tackle the trade routing
hmm,
basically through other countries. So that's the point, because China has in recent days has been successful in routing the goods from Europe also.
hmm,
They are doing same thing with Oman also, since Oman has as if you have seen the geography of Middle East, the
hmm,
uh, geography of Oman is as such that the majority of the part is vacant. They have a vast desert in their geography,
hmm,
and that land is sold for a very nominal cost. I can't say sold, it is leased for a long term to China by the Omani government at a
right,
very cheap price. So the China in recent year has been able to manufacture the goods in Oman and export them throughout the world. Thing is that Indian government has to be strict on that part. I hope I've cleared my point.
absolutely, very much clear. It is. We have noticed China getting into the not so economically stronger nations, leasing lands from them, and getting into manufacturing there too for lower cost, maybe lower than what is available for them in China. I think
Yeah.
the same thing was also implemented with Pakistan as well as Sri Lanka. So since these two countries were economically weaker and had huge debts with China. So China wanted to increase the manufacturing units, and hence one of the largest ports is being built by China in Sri Lanka, which is going to
Yeah,
favor China
Hambantota.
completely.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So with such developments taking place, I think China is really going to benefit a lot with this RCEP deal too.
Because the thing is that they are going to be able to trade in huge volumes in that RCEP area itself.
Right.
They
Yes.
won't be further needing to manufacture goods somewhere abroad, then route it to some other country, which will certainly be very easy for China to increase their trade without any brainstorming as such.
That is right.
And
Yes.
if you also, if you see the geographic location of these countries such as Pakistan, Sri Lanka, which you mentioned, and Oman,
Oman. Yes.
it has become very easy for China to transport the goods to India and Europe than to export them directly from east coast of China to India or Europe, because now the through the Suez Canal, the China is directly able to route the goods to Europe. So
Mhm.
the transportation cost and time has also been saved. So China has taken a good advantage of these nations, and
Yes.
it's good for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. China in this process is going to become it's already almost a superpower here. With US, the Trump regime coming into USA, China has taken the opportunity of diversifying into so many nations. Also, Bharat had got it a point about India getting forward the skilled laborers employment generation part, right? So, why do you think India wants skilled laborers from their country to work in ASEAN nations and the Asia Pacific countries? Like, is it already because of USA cutting down on such employees from outside, even European Union trying to reduce the number of foreign employees coming into India taking up such jobs? Is this the reason why India is wanting this partnership with ASEAN countries?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, in recent years, since the refugee crisis has started in Europe and
Mhm.
North America, the countries have been really skeptical to bring any immigrants to their country.
Mhm.
For example, in recent years, the Canada and US have both abolished the law which actually permitted the immigrants to bring their children and spouses
Mhm.
to US or Canada, which actually resulted in huge number of immigrants to this country. For example, I will tell you, if some worker is working in US and he gets the citizenship,
Mhm.
he would bring so many people to US. As such, one citizenship would cost US four more citizenship. So that resulted into a huge chaos there.
Mhm.
Further, uh, it is generally said that the biggest export service of India is people.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, because we get huge foreign fund remittances from the people who are working abroad to their family members or whatsoever in India.
Mhm.
So it is absolutely true that our biggest exporting service is people,
Right.
which would have really beneficial for India to get included in the RCEP deal. As such, in terms of goods, we are definitely lagging behind with all the countries. But it was the only hope for Indian government to include the thing in the RCEP agreement. So if that would have included, I think India might have signed the deal. But
Mhm.
that never happened the case because RCEP was strictly restricted to the goods only.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bharat. Also, there's a very fascinating point that came in my mind right now. So, when we are talking about, the US cutting down number of foreign employees and India being the, biggest exporter of people here, skilled people as well as unskilled, in UAE, Saudi Arabia, a huge amount of unskilled people are exported from India. But now, once you see that China is now usually competing with USA, along with this RCEP deal and many other deals that China has made, especially with Russia in recent times, China is going to be an economic superpower soon, right? Now, if you have noticed, China has now almost done, um, if I'm not wrong, 42% of its economic trade with uh, Russia in the local currencies,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
And that's a huge figure. That's a huge figure. Being aware of the fact that Russia is under heavy US economic sanctions,
Mhm.
the 42% deals in their local currencies is a huge amount.
Absolutely. Here, China is literally wanting to conquer not just the country but also the currency, which is universally accepted now. China is breaking that inflow and is trying that even though US brings sanctions, in any case they trade in the local currencies. You know, so do you think
And
this
yeah,
might do you think this might be a possible case even with the RCEP deal with ASEAN countries? Would they want to deal in the Chinese currency?
yeah.
Would that be beneficial for them for the ASEAN
So,
nations?
for that matter, as you brought up the point here, I will specify one thing
Mhm.
that in recent years, the China, Russia, and few other friendly countries such as Iran, Pakistan have been working on a international based, I mean global based payment system, which is called Instex, which will have their basic principal currency as their local currencies, which I think will be mostly Chinese yuan
Mhm.
and not the US dollar.
Okay.
So the thing is, the China would be so aggressive at this point that all the foreign trade or majority of the foreign trade, obviously excluding European Union and the North America, will be
Mhm.
done in either Chinese yuan or other local currencies, which will significantly reduce the dominance of US dollar in the foreign market. Into that RCEP agreement, it is very unlikely
Okay.
because if you see the RCEP contains primarily half of the member countries which are US allies.
Mhm.
One of the biggest example is South Korea, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand.
Absolutely.
So in immediate with immediate effect, I don't think this thing will happen in RCEP
Mhm.
as such. This may happen in long term, but in short term, it's very unlikely. And
That is right.
China would not take this big risk because it will change the whole game of geopolitics into the South Pacific region
Mhm.
as well as the Eastern Asia.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. All
Yeah.
right. So let's not just get back to India. We have been dwelling in a lot with foreign economies. So get back to India and its you know its procedure with RCEP and finally how it backed out. So November 4th, 2019, Narendra Modi had made the comment that when I measure the RCEP agreement with respect to the interest of all Indians, I do not get a positive answer. Therefore, neither the talisman of Gandhiji, which includes the policy of getting into the lives of localist and poorest of people and seeing how they'll be affected or benefited by the deal. And this was not seen a positive effect on the poor people, people below the BPO, which would have been a huge effect on the Indian economy. And nor Modi ji's own conscience permitted the joining of RCEP. So this was the reason he backed out. So with this note, let us delve a little deeper into the three main sectors that would have gotten affected with RCEP. That is agriculture, steel, and textiles. And agriculture includes the dairy products, right? So India would have been self-sufficient in these sectors all these years, but a lot of India's exports are also dependent on them. So how would these sectors crash under the RCEP agreement?
So the thing is that in recent years, Australia and New Zealand have been able to uh, get a huge share in India's agro product market.
Mhm.
Further, the China is historically has been historically able to get a huge share in India's textile and steel market.
That is right.
Although China imports Indian steel also,
Mhm.
their export figures are also attractive
Right.
to India. So definitely in the RCEP agreement, as the tariff rates would be reduced by almost 92%,
Mhm.
it will have
Right.
very negative impact on the India's domestic manufacturers, as the cost of manufacturing in China is way lower than it is being in India.
Yes.
Through the efforts of Indian government to impose tariffs and also the non-tariff based measures such as quotas, import license,
Mhm.
these prices have been inflated in the Indian markets of,
Right.
of, of the Chinese steel. So these efforts, all these efforts have been made by Indian government to restrict these kind of exports to India above a certain limit.
Right.
If RCEP is signed, all these efforts will certainly go into the vein,
Mhm.
and it
Absolutely.
will definitely become very tiring and very harmful for India's domestic industries. So I think it's a good step by Indian government to not look into the RCEP.
So okay, so perfect. Now let us move into this aspect of the RCEP deal. Within a month of India's resignation from the RCEP deal, Japan's then Prime Minister, Mr. Shinzo Abe, declared that they would not be a part of the agreement without India as the India in the RCEP deal, as it did not make much sense to them without the participation. But now we can see that Japan is an integral part of RCEP bloc. Though India has now signed many military agreements with Japan thanks to the Quad, so India seemed to be in a good relationship with Japan, but Japan did not back out finally because I think they found good opportunity. So what do you think? Was it because of the change? I mean, the new prime minister coming in that Japan got into the deal, or do you think Japan always wanted to be a part of RCEP with or without India?
Okay, so the question which is being brought up by you is has to do more with geopolitics
Hmm.
than to do with trade.
Okay.
Historically, it is being proved that historically, as in since the growth of People's Republic of China, it is constantly being seen that China is being proven as threat to the countries like India, South Korea, Japan,
Hmm.
and for that matter, in recent times, Australia also. So
Right.
the thing is that the Japan would not like it if they become too dependent on China in terms of their trade, and finally, the changing entire game of geopolitics in the Asia.
Hmm.
Right. So Japan's then Prime Minister, Mr. Shinzo Abe, tried to convince India to best of his efforts to get joined into the RCEP, which eventually India refused to do so.
Hmm.
But entire efforts were made by them. So the thing here is that I personally believe that there has been a great pressure from US also in this regard.
Hmm.
As you might have read in recent times, the group named as Quad has been in news
Hmm.
for the although the purpose of Quad group is mainly for military purpose. However, the dependence on China of many Asian nations has to be reduced in that agreement.
Hmm.
So the thing is that if India is left out from the RCEP agreement and the trade finally increases between China and Japan,
Right.
the Japan in future might refuse to some comments or some political views of India
Hmm.
regarding China. So I believe personally this question has more to do with geopolitics than an economic perspective. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Also, since you're talking about the power of US, trying to make changes in decisions in the geopolitical arena. Now, countries such as you mentioned, South Korea. they're usually dependent on USA not just for economic and bilateral trade, but also military. $5 billion dollars is the amount of is the amount they provide to USA for military support. So, do you think with such a deal, it could be a threat to the nation, not just economically, but also militarily? I mean, would US want to wage a trade war even with these countries because of the RCEP deal? Or do you think USA is still just trying to see if RCEP works? Is US, trying to pounce into these economies now with sanctions and all those things?
Yeah. So, Akash, before year 2016,
Mm-hmm.
that is before November 2016, when Trump administration came into the power, there have been successful discussions on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that is TPP,
Right.
which finally the Trump administration withdrew themselves from this partnership, which caused huge losses, and basically it hampered the expectations of countries like Japan, Australia, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
Once the Trump administration withdrew, the uh, countries which were harmed by this decision looked at RCP as a as an opportunity. As Trump administration is about to end and Biden administration is expected to come into the power, it is now being speculated that a Trans-Pacific Partnership would again come into existence. Now it
Mm-hmm.
is going to be very interesting to see how these countries handle both, that
Right.
is Trans-Pacific Partnership and the RCEP.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
we will come to know this about in let's say 2 to 3 years. But now onwards, the geopolitics is going to completely change, and it is going to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Also, as you mentioned, the existence of RCEP
Right.
would certainly result in a certain kind of dependence of these countries on China.
Right.
Yeah. So the thing is that in the times of COVID-19, when the lockdowns were imposed and all the economies were hampered, economies were actually suffered through great recession.
Mm-hmm.
Countries looked after RCEP as a great stimulus package for their own economy, as China promised to import more in this agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Till the countries have control over the virus, the China has promised to import more from the countries to act as a global stimulus, to provide countries with a global stimulus package, which is unbelievable. And in current times, the US has been unable to do it. So in recent times, the Federal Reserve has also been unable to provide required assistance in IMF,
Mm-hmm.
World Bank, and in any other countries, as they have also raised high levels of debts, which is actually more than on almost $10 trillion
Right.
in dollar terms, which is huge. And in these kind of situations, if some country is offering to import more, which will result in increased trade, then why would any country look down after it? So this
Mm-hmm.
might have been reason. In short term, China might not. I'm saying might not take any provocative actions against RCEP countries,
Right.
but then this acts as a great stimulus to their economy. So that's why these countries might have agreed. That's my personal opinion.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Also, Bharat, as you were talking about the countries juggling between TPP and RCEP, this was one of the major points brought in by some of the Indian economists too, that India yet is not a part of any long-term major economic trade agreement, right? Like you have the TPP, you have the European Union, you have the NAFTA, that is North American Trade Alliance. In this way, India is not a part of an economic alliance. India has many associations already, like BRICS. They're part of that, and they have a good reputation with all the countries. But India at least now, when they're trying to boost an economy, boost their exports, reduce their trade deficits, they would want to have a huge economic alliance. You would want to have allies like China and USA, right? So, how important is it for India to be part of an alliance in the long run, especially after the pandemic has hit so many nations?
So certainly, India is facing one of its most difficult period in international relations,
Right.
as formation of RCEP has placed the entire East Asia into one group, entire Europe and
Mhm.
North America through a North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement and European Union in one group, and
Mhm.
Middle East in their own free trade agreement. So the
Right.
India is facing uh, basically a uh, minor situation of isolation
Mhm.
in this regard. As you might know, the India already has some free trade agreements with ASEAN, even with European Union, and for
Mhm.
that matter, US also. But
Yes.
they are not as huge as RCEP. Current times, the all the countries in ASEAN have been able to maintain their free trade agreement. The continent of Europe is
Mhm.
into their own agreement, that is European Union, headed by European Council. The North American continent is having their own North Atlantic free trade agreement. The South America also has the same, and Africa has also their own agreement.
Mhm.
However, the India's current trade agreements, let it be BRICS, or you can say SCO, which is more oriented towards security, but
Mhm.
also it certainly focuses on the trade aspects. They are weak as compared to other FTAs. So it has become significantly important for India to sign some long-term economic partnerships with countries.
Mhm.
In recent years, if you have seen the India's foreign policy, which historically been neutral towards US, Russia, or China, whoever it may be,
Mhm.
has cost India very highly,
Right.
because all the countries in one group have formed their FTAs and they are working very well. But the neutral position of India has been very costly.
Mhm.
So your point is very true, that we have to either accept RCEP with some revised norms,
Mhm.
or we have to make our own FTAs with other countries, which will suit our expectations, certainly in
Absolutely.
coming future. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think there is one prospective point that I can probably bring forward. Just say if you agree or disagree with it. In recent times, if you have noticed in the Middle East, many countries are now moving for stronger economic alliances. Now, as we know, Israel initially was not even considered a part of Middle East.
Yeah.
Many like countries like Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia did not even consider any agreement with them. But in recent times, UAE and Saudi Arabia have opened up to Israel.
The agreement is called as Abraham Accord, and
Absolutely. Hmm.
yeah, and that has been a great factor in bringing up of Israel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in this process, as these countries have a stronger alliance, peace as well as economic agreement, that is UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, India has been friendly with all these countries. So in this process, do you think India would want to fight back the retaliation of RCEP by making a trade alliance with these countries, which include UAE, Saudi Arabia, as well as Israel? Since Israel is also one of the
Yeah.
finest economies in current days, upcoming economies just like India and China. So do you think this is a probable alliance that India would want to look forward to?
Yeah. So, for that matter, India already has trade agreements with Middle East and Israel.
Mhm.
Israel being India's one of the friendliest countries,
Absolutely.
we do a lot of trade, but in that also we have trade deficit, because Israel export a lot of medical equipments, defense equipments, and some other product to India,
Mhm.
which certainly result in a great trade deficit with Israel. But yes, certainly forming a FTA with Middle East and Israel, which previously used to be very difficult, as Middle East being dominated by Islamic majority, and Israel,
Hmm.
which is accused of occupying Palestinian land. Clubbing these two groups together has been very difficult to India, but all thanks to Abraham Accord,
Hmm.
the idea of forming FTA with these countries looks good. Having
Hmm.
said that, I would like to further add that forming FTA with these countries will not be as strong as RCEP, because both of these parties were having too much hatred for each other, and hatred is the perfect word for that.
Yes, absolutely.
But all thanks to Abraham Accord, which is signed between UAE and Israel, and further some other countries such as Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and in recent times, I believe Kuwait also.
Yes.
So forming FTA will be a great idea. However, this FTA will not as big as RCEP.
Okay.
The FTA in Middle East will benefit India mostly in terms of oil imports, which we make, which will also be very beneficial for India, as the oil
Hmm.
prices would be reduced. We will be able to import petroleum products at very cheaper rates,
Hmm.
but certainly we have some more commitments also.
Yes.
Sir, only the reduction of oil prices will not benefit India to such big extent, which a great free trade agreement can result in,
Hmm.
such as European countries which are enjoying a great free trade area,
Hmm.
the RCEP countries which will now start experiencing the same, North America which is already experiencing it.
Right.
It will not be as big as RCEP. So
Okay.
I believe that forming FTA with these countries will be a good idea, but not as
Hmm.
beneficial as that too.
Agreed, agreed. Wonderfully put forward, Bharat. This makes perfect sense. India certainly has to look into more options now, and maybe this might be motivating factor to get into RCEP. Make a few more adjustments, make a few some exceptions from India's side also. Trying to adjust to what the ASEAN nations and China would want here. An economic peaceful collaboration is required, but that is still for the economists to look into. There's still fresh waters for them. So let us just look into one aspect which India is cautionary now. India really has to look forward to getting the focus on the current RCEP agreement. China has now sought after making Beijing the next economic hub of the world, just like New York is right now. And to make up for the trade deductions with the US, China has now made available a larger consumer market with ASEAN with this RCEP deal. So, how lethal would this be for India as well as the global economy?
So the uh, point here is that, again, as I'm continuously mentioning, the entire RCEP deal and its effects
Mhm.
have been more associated with geopolitics than in economic perspective. The basic motive of China is to capture five fingers. The
Hmm.
five fingers being Leh, Ladakh, then Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Tibet, which China has already occupied,
Hmm.
and already the Aksai Chin. These are five fingers which China is looking to capture historically, since the Great Chinese Revolution headed by Mao Zedong.
Hmm.
So the thing here is that China is looking India as an enemy just for these purposes. And
Right.
since in recent times, due to provocative Chinese aggression, India has more leaned towards US
Hmm.
for their economic ties, and even military ties. However, as you said, in recent times, the China has been very successful in increasing their economy, increasing the standard of living of their own people,
Mhm.
and certainly trying to provide huge consumer market to other countries to export goods to China, import from China, uh, a, forming a great economic relations with China in
Right.
recent times, right?
Mhm.
Which will certainly shift the gravity of economic power from west to east,
Mhm.
which will be very very dangerous for the US allies. To be in exact wording, it is US allies,
Right.
which are generally Japan, South Korea, India.
Mhm.
Australia, we can't say that because Australia is situated far away from the China,
Mhm.
and as such, historically, it is seen that whenever some internal issues
Yes.
are raised into the China, the Chinese government tries to distract their own people by provocative actions against some countries,
Mhm.
or by or by raising some international issues, or creating havoc literally in the international politics. So if
Mhm.
China becomes an economic superpower after the US, or it or if it succeeds the US in economic superiority, it
Mhm.
will be lethal for the countries in the terms that the ruling Chinese Communist Party may face a lot of problems in the future in regard to their internal politics. If
Mhm.
something goes wrong in inside the China, this will directly affect the countries which are trading with it. So the economic interest of these countries are more dependent on China's internal politics than their own diplomatic relations with China, which is absolutely, I can say, unrelated. But the ruling party has a philosophy
Mhm.
to relate the same and to come over it in tough times. So I can say
Yes.
certainly these are unrelated things, but they can prove very harmful for the countries in tough times.
Yes, that is very well put, Varun. Thank you so much. As I conclude this session now, let us look into, is this the end of India already with the RCEP deal? It is not, because as Varad mentioned before, Japan has already been sought after having the RCEP deal with India. And since, like in the month of May, more approaches were made, a newer deal was proposed to India um, with many more adjustments made for India, but still India had the concerns of their own economy and hence did
Yes.
not enter into it. Right. So
Yeah.
now two main points that the RCEP has brought forward where India can still participate. Let me just dictate them. The RCEP signatory states will commence negotiations with India at any time after the signing of the RCEP agreement, once India submits a request in writing of its intentions to accede to the RCEP agreement, to the depository of the RCEP agreement, which
Yeah.
means RCEP still wants India to be a part, and India still sees a chance to be a part of it, right? Because hence they have kept this standstill position as of now and still are wanting to continue with the deal. Second, a very important thing that will very much be useful for India, which is anytime prior to the accession to the agreement, India may participate in RCEP meetings as an observer and in economic
Yeah.
cooperation activities undertaken by the RCEP signatory states under the agreement. So this actually is giving India a chance to look into how the economy will function when RCEP is, in motion, and India can actually judge what is the aspects that they need to look into, and this gives a chance for India to analyze. Now, as we know, India has already set up an RCEP committee, which was headed by former Railway Minister Suresh Prabhu.
Yeah.
So, plus
Exactly.
there are four more members in the committee. So, this committee will really look into how the alliance functions and will finally, make a prepared decision as to India's participation. Whether it is really
Yeah.
good for India to go into it or to permanently back out and look for more options. So, as you know, this is a new thing, a new era right now in economic trade, which the world is looking forward to. And
Yes,
perfect words.
exactly.
Thank you so much for this session. It was so very much informative and so precise. This
Yes,
really gets
thank
to
you
know
so
in
much, Akash, to you too, because
absolutely.
the way you put information in front of me and our audience is fantastic.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much for that.
Surely, Varad.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. Stay tuned for more such sessions that Avico Economic Forum is conducting. If
Yeah.
you want to know how the sessions work, you can look into our YouTube videos. Share and subscribe so that you are always updated. Plus, we have our LinkedIn profiles in the brochure of every single video that we post. You can look into the starting page and you can get back to us. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much, and see you soon.